First off, thank you so much for being a part of our event today. It's a pleasure to be able to host you. And it's good to be able to have industry leaders like you as part of path-breaking discussions which are going to, draft the way the industry is supposed to move forward. So keeping that in mind, do tell us a little bit about what you think of the whole concept of innovation and how that is supposed to be ingrained and part of the workforce culture and how it goes ahead, basically.
Thank you. Thank you, Sindhuja. It's absolutely a fabulous opportunity, and thank you for the invitation. It's fabulous to be a part of the NASSCOM Council here today. If I talk about Western Digital India, innovation is very, very key for us. We've long been known as a center of execution excellence. We started our journey in 2005, fast forward to 2019, 3,000 people strong R&D Global Capability Center. We're very, very proud of the execution excellence as a culture. We are now saying for the last few years, it's about time to change the gear and talk about innovation now. And there are multiple threads that are running through this entire culture of innovation. Let me begin with giving you a few examples. We are looking at going to the universities. We go with the top 10 to 15 universities. We bring the university hires on board. And before we release them to the businesses, we run a 4 to 5 week of innovation, the boot camp, wherein the entire idea is to say, as much as they understand that they will be a part of the entire overflow of the entire product development life cycle, but however, what is the overall entire systems level exposure that they need? How do we sell? What is our marketing plan? What is the customer looking at? And various stages between the entire product development cycle. I think over 4 to 5 weeks, we call it independently productive program. The idea is come, understand, ideate, create, understand the entire journey, and then go back to the business and then ideate. The results of that program is that we are looking at univ hires within 1 year of being in the system, churning out patents, churning out trade secrets, and I think that's been a fabulous journey. We are also looking at and very proud of our academia partnerships with Indian Institute of Science, wherein we are able to take our engineers, work with them, bring in PhDs, and kind of create a very thriving ecosystem of breeding innovation. I think that part has worked very well because there are research partnerships, there are things that we realize that we want to look at probably a new way of generation of memory, but can we partner and ideate and co-create together? I think some of those initiatives are working very well. I would also like to take an example of Innovation Bazaar, which is an entire platform, a new initiative, which is open to all the employees at one point, and they can come, they can look at day-to-day problems and look at automation solutions, look at new product ideas. And as much as they are looking at the new product ideas, we couple that with an inventor recognition ceremony wherein we reward the patents, we congratulate them, the leaders come into a handshake, and we also look at how the company overall from a product patent portfolio that is growing. We are 14,000 patents strong, active. So I think ideation to recognition is something that as a culture we do, and I would close the conversation with the comment that we're also looking at industry partnerships. We are absolutely proud of our partnership with NASSCOM, wherein as much as you're thinking Western digital, India and global, you're also looking at integrating, understanding, and liaising with the industry ecosystem out there so that you're seeing what other companies are doing. What is Industry 4.2 all about? What is it that we can learn, ideate, partner? And I think, looking at this multi-pronged approach of employees, industry, academia, and constantly being at it with innovation as the core, I think has been a fabulous and a very fascinating journey for Western digital in India and worldwide.
I think what's interesting is that conventionally India has not really been known to be an innovation hub. I think that identity is definitely changing, and thanks to companies like yours, which are actively changing that essential DNA. So my question to you is, all the plans and all the the wonderful initiatives aside, how easy or difficult is it to actually really get down to that DNA to change the way people think in an innovation first method?
Fabulous question. How do you get down to change people's mindset? My belief, after being 20 years in the industry, you can't change anyone. The only person you can change is yourself. So I think there is enough and more written about in the literature, in the world of psychology, people's mindset. Change has to be from within. What you can do is create accelerators, catalysts around, which will catalyze your thinking, ask you to say, is the way I'm doing, is that okay? Or is there another way of doing it? I think the role of leadership, the role of companies, industry, forums as NASSCOM, I think our responsibility is to say, provide enough seeds around the corner so that when employees are looking at it, they're wondering, wow, there is another way of doing it. We are looking at a multi-generational workforce wherein there is, of course, Gen X like me, there is, the Gen Z coming in, the millennials. I think they're very intelligent. They know what they want from life. They have an entire view and a vision to their career, and we have discussions wherein they are much more clearer than we were probably 20 years back. I think our job there is to create environment, culture by seeding in enough ideas, giving them forums. Like Innovation Bazaar, what we did was, if I talk now at industry and India level, we took the Innovation Bazaar as a practice and partnered with Invest India and Startup India arm of the government, where we said, let's look at what India's challenges are. There is an infrastructure bottleneck, there is an education bottleneck, there's a poverty bottleneck. How is it that we can get these problems within a realm of an Innovation Bazaar? Data is what we thrive in as a company. We coined it Data Innovation Bazaar, invite solutions to these problems using data. And I think what we ended up creating is an entire, 2,000, 3,000 applications, infusing a thought process. And I think that is the journey that I think as leaders, as GCCs, as companies that we need. I would like to say that at Western Digital, worldwide, and of course for India that I speak, we've done that well. We have a lot of industry, associations. We've got industry leaders coming in and talking. We've got a lot of peer learning sessions. If someone is working in one product and is catering to the enterprise market and someone is catering to the entire retail market, how is it that both the teams can come together and share their best practices, because then both of them walk away learning something new. The innovation is something that is therefore driven out because when you expand the scope of knowledge, when the awareness is created, when you're bored by doing things in one repeated way and you're like, you know what, I want to change it. I think that is where, and then you're creating an environment where they can change it. And therefore when they do it and then you applaud and recognize, I think that is the multiple steps of creating a very thriving culture where people first, technology a close second is what I would say, what it takes to get this right. But the change has to come from within.
I mean, it's great. Actually, I think it's a great time to be a 20-something-year-old today, aiming to be, to join the workforce, where you have leaders who've had experience, like close to 2 decades or more, like you, who are thinking for the future generations. Now, I'm pretty sure that all of us can agree on this point that this wasn't something as a privilege that was given to us, right? So, what happens when leaders who've had a couple of decades worth of experience, who have to sort of on one level have to alter the thinking to make sure the new thinking comes in. But what do you do with people who are at your peer level? I mean, does a peer-to-peer learning experience itself sort of suffice? And like you said, it's very difficult to change mindsets and people. So how do you traverse that barrier and make sure that the senior leadership is also in tune with this whole mantra of innovation?
I love the question, and I love the way it started to say, can we be 20-something? I don't know what I would not give to be able to go back to my 20s. But however, I think it's a beautiful question that there is a 20-something who's coming in, and good or bad, they are being managed by a 40-something. Child is the father of man. However, the corporates run very differently. A lot of experienced people leading new generation. See, that is how the world is, and you and I can't change that. But of course, we see, a lot of young leaders come up and create fabulous billion-dollar great startups. I think they're defying the rule, and I would say a good shout out to them. And that needs to happen in the space that it is, in the entrepreneurial creation space. But within companies that are large corporations running decades, and they have a certain way that they have seen success, I think as leaders, it's our responsibility to do 2 things. We are responsible for the culture. And I think we need to take it to our heart that we are responsible for people. The talented people are getting hired, they know exactly what to do. Our job is to be constantly responsible for the culture and have an open mindset. So there is something that we see at Western Digital, that create a safe space to fail. Create a safe space where innovation is recognized, and even if there are 10 times it takes for you to succeed, it's okay for those 10 failures to be absorbed, but have learnings from those failures assimilated. You perhaps learn a lot more from your failures than you learn from your successes. I personally, as a leader, I'm very, very happy when people ask me questions about my failures, because I have failed many times. And like I say, when you succeed, you have a champagne and you kind of lose sense. But when you fail, you have tears and you stay awake at night. I think staying awake at night, analyzing, reflecting, and then coming forward, I think is a beautiful way of sharing with the younger generation to say how maybe you can avoid 4 or 5 ways, because we've tried those. But again, not coming down from an advice, more from a learning, sharing, and getting them a seat at the table. Having a setup where it's discussion-like, not where you are high and they are different, they are low. I think that high-low hierarchical structures perhaps are there to stay from budgets, resource, sanction point, but I think the culture is more networked. I personally make it a point to meet many people, and I go back home energized and happy because I know I've learned something new today. So I think that is it. Culture of people first, culture of you being visibly the change that you want others to be, quoting Mahatma Gandhi, a father of the nation, and knowing very well that you don't have the answers, so never come from a know-it-all attitude. Humbly say, I don't know, but I want to sit down with you and learn from you, because guess what? I hired you to change the culture and challenge the status quo. I think weaving all of that and leading by example and being very humble in what you know and very humble in what you don't know, perhaps is something that we as adults and seasoned leaders need to do. Because I think child is the father of man and woman, the mother of woman, and is here to stay is what I would say.
Absolutely. I think it's a very healthy attitude to have, and I think that's the only way that experienced leaders are going to continue to be experienced if they're going to be able to be malleable, to the forces of change. I think we all can't really escape it, so we'll just move with it.
Sure.
Coming to a little bit about your business itself, I think technology, of course, is inevitable in the way it is transformed, the way products and solutions are being pushed up in the market, and I think that's a big change one can see, in terms of storage that's taking place today.
Sure.
From the era of hard disks and flash drives to now cloud. So do tell us how innovation plays a big role in making sure that change actually happens and converts into sizable, tangible revenue for the company.
Sure. So we as a company, an entire vision is that we want to play in the entire, creating an entire infrastructure where data can be used to solve the world's biggest challenges. I think that's a very beautiful statement of vision that touches every human person's lives, because there are many problems in the world that are waiting to be solved. In India, if I talk about Bangalore, the place where you and I are there, we have a traffic problem that needs solving, and I'm sure data can be put to use on that one. But I think, to your point, we play both from the core to the end and the edge and the end point. From the hard disk drive, that is extremely important, relevant, and it's a large capacity market that we play in, to an entirely performance driven market of the edge, flash where it comes in the solutions. I think we are uniquely positioned as a company where we cater to both ends of the market, and of course cloud in between. Innovation is extremely important, because at the end of the day, what are you innovating for? You're innovating to solve a problem, but for you have your customers. So I think at company right now, when I'm looking at all the discussions that are happening at the executive level, all of us are thinking that we're making products to solve a problem, but for the end customer. But how is customer first really integrated in our thinking? I think challenging ourselves a lot more, bringing customers into our world, co-creating that. We recently had a global conference where we called the Microsoft Vice President, and he was like, this is a great conference, thank you so much for inviting me. And as much as we discuss deals across the table, and we discuss, and we have great partners that we are, however, what is important is that our engineers are sitting together, co-creating a solution, wherein gone are the days when you say this is a vendor, that's a supplier. I think these are co-creations of partners, and then we are together looking at solving problems for each other, and in the process we learn. I can give you a small example of something very simple, but hard disk drives, when we are selling to our customers, we are thinking of a solution from our digital analytics office where we are saying, okay, you have this huge installed base, but can we provide something as a software, enable some service to you wherein you know which drive is going to probably have an error in at one point of time? Can we build that predictability in our service, and therefore we are taking care of the drives that we are giving it to you, and we will provide this to you and help you probably not worry about it, and whatever data they can share with us, we are able to help analyze, detect trends, and at the end of the day have a very healthy customer partnership. I think constantly keeping customer first, keeping innovation as your principle, and providing solutions and products out, and I think integrating all of this to constantly innovate is something. You know about our helium drives. I'm sure you know the entire, the first image of the black hole that was taken, and how an innovation in the hard disk drive industry led us to be able to partner in creating history, wherein the first image of black hole was taken and we had hard disk drive, Western Digital right at the center and the heart of it. I think that is a fabulous, fabulous example of how we are constantly innovating to serve customers and probably create history in the process.
Absolutely. I think my final question, I think, is a sort of an immediate follow-up of the same. While you're front and center of this innovation and actually see it happen, I think there's always going to be a lingering thought at the back of every industry leader's mind that, okay, you know, this is something I need to keep secure. And cybersecurity, of course, is a huge role to play in making sure that businesses' data that we're so, you know, aggressively sort of promoting today for businesses also securely saved. So what do you have to, you know, what do you have to say about that in terms of making sure that the data that you guys are dealing with as a company are, you know, is secure and there are no, you know, issues with it per se? How do you sort of assuage again your customers to make sure that this is a safe and secure premise for them?
Thank you for that. I think when I sit here, I talk with a lot of confidence and comfort that our customers really know that when they come to Western Digital to buy our products and solutions, they know their data is safe. So I think that is something that is built in as, again, part of the culture. At one end is innovation, at the other end is your safety, reliability, and to make sure that those processes are built in, the kind of test scenarios that you run. And again, you understand the customer environment a lot more because your products are part of their environment. And I think having an understanding of their environment where your solutions and products fit in, and co-creating and therefore creating your test environments to know that it may not fail and it will not fail, and if it does, what kind of scenarios can be brought in, predicted, analyzed, tested. I think all of that is something I would say, been there, done that. We're very comfortable. We know that we provide absolutely the top-end solution. Your data is safe when you buy Western Digital. Having said that, I think going forward, what we are trying to do is looking at the entire data story of India. I think data is here to stay. It's a massive explosion that the industry is going through. Ideating, looking at new systems and building big data analytics, getting insights from the data and bringing in more efficiency and value add in the process and passing that on to the customers. I think that's something that's a journey that we are on, is what I would like to say.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.